Let me ask you about 2020. What would the Democrats have to do to win?
I'll give you a micro answer and a macro answer. On the micro side, they need to nominate someone who can persuade those 77,000 voters in Michigan, Wisconsin, and Pennsylvania who won the election for the president. It's 77,000 votes in Michigan, Wisconsin, and Pennsylvania. And those voters are predominantly, although not exclusively, white working class men and women. If they nominate someone who cannot appeal to those people, they won't win.
Do you think Joe Biden is that guy?
I think he's the best of the lot of the 25 to do that, yeah, because he's from there. He speaks that language. He understands their particular concerns, I think, to a great extent, and I think he can articulate them. So I think Biden is the most dangerous opponent of the group for the president as we sit today. But I'll give you, the macro answer is, I don't know. And the reason I don't know is because you've got 25 people, 23 of whom have never been on the national stage. Only Joe and Bernie have been on the national stage. And so you don't know what they're going to do. I could tell you, like, for instance, like Scott Walker at one time was like the front runner in Iowa. He literally sweated himself out of the campaign at the Reagan Library debate. Couldn't answer, was sweating profusely, wasn't ready. Now this is a guy who's faced up to unions in Wisconsin, to put up with a lot of very difficult issues, whether you agree with them or disagree with them. No one could have predicted that Scott wouldn't perform in that circumstance, but he didn't. What happens when these lights go on in a presidential race, and they're 1,000 times brighter than these lights, is there's only two options. You either shine or you melt. That's it. And if you shine, it doesn't mean you win, it means you survive. It's like Survivor. You get to stay on the islands for another week. That's it. If you melt, the whole country sees it.
You know a lot of these people. Which one do you think, since we're just talking, just us, which one do you think is going to melt this week? Which one do you think is going to shine?
Listen, I will tell you this. I think, and I've said this for weeks before this, I said it on Stephanopoulos' show about 2 months ago. Short Pete Buttigieg. Short him, because he's not ready for prime time. And if you watched what happened in South Bend in the last couple of days, it was an awful performance and an awful bit of leadership on his part. And he's going to get up there on that stage, he's going to look very young. Very young. So I think that Buttigieg will be a melter. There's so many of them that, like, they won't even melt, they'll just never even appear. Eric Swalwell, like, who cares, right? I mean, seriously, like, my guess is that his mother is going, what? You're running for president? Come on, Eric.
What about your friend Cory Booker?
Listen, Booker has a puncher's chance, and in the boxing vernacular, which means that he's got charisma. And it hasn't shown itself yet to get traction. But Booker can do things on a stage, and I've seen him do it, where he can really persuade people. So Booker would be one of those guys who I would say don't count him out, because he gets on that stage in the debates, he has a few good moments,